Halloween specials were an essential part of my childhood. I watched all of them. Yes, all of them. I had no friends. And I still like to rewatch them sometimes. Yes, I still have no friends. Moving on. Today I decided to rewatch 2 Halloween specials from The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody and Sweet Life of Deck. If you don't know what these shows are about, I'm kind of confused as to why you clicked on the video, but I'll explain it to you. The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody is a TV show about twins who live in a hotel with their mum, and those twins terrorize the hotel manager. And then The Sweet Life on Deck is about the hotel manager that I previously mentioned getting promoted to a cruise manager. Then the twins follow him and continue to terrorize him for 4 more years. And it's something about a Prindle. Okay, any questions? No? Good. We are going to be watching the first Halloween special, which is called The Ghost in Suite 613. The episode starts off with Zack playing a prank on Cody by emerging from a pile of pillows like a zombie. Realistically, that's dangerous. He could have seen a creepy hand emerging from the ground and Cody could have kicked and stomped on it. Zack goes down to the lobby, prank Esteban. Then London comes in, tells Maddie and the boys about a story of a ghost in the Suite 613. She also mentions how she accidentally left $1,000 in the suite. Imagine being rich enough that you forgot that you left $1,000 somewhere. I could buy 1,000 Haribos with that. So anyway, everyone rushes to go get the money into the apparently haunted room. On their way there, they run into Muriel, who gives them the key to the room and tells them the story of the room. A woman called Arlene checked into the room with her husband, but the next day he went off to fight in World War II and then never returned. Turned out that he met an Italian woman and they opened up a pizza parlor. Irene grew angry and threw her silver hairbrush that her husband had given her into a mirror, and as it shattered, one of the flying glass pieces flew across the room, slit her throat and killed her. Oh wow, bit of a gruesome description for a kids TV show. Slightly a bit too morbid. Anyway, moving on. The kids arrived at 613. In the room they find the broken mirror, portrait of Arlene. The room is covered in sheets. You're telling me that in over 63 years, no one else used this room? Seems like a waste of money for the hotel. Mr. Moseby shows up and tells the kids that they're making too much noise. And then he tells them his encounter with Arlene. When the story finishes, Zack pops up and scares everyone. Zack later on bets Cody that he cannot spend a whole night in the room 613. They make a bet that the first one of them to run out owes the other $5, as you know, potentially being killed by a ghost. Totally worth $5. During the course of the night, Maddie and London join them, along with Esteban, who is carrying London's very heavy suitcase, even though they're only staying for a night. Arwen then arrives with his own ghost hunting equipment that he apparently just has. That ghost hunting equipment almost immediately sets on fire. Esteban claims he knows how to contact the spirit realm and holds a seance. During the seance, the ghost possesses Esteban and starts angrily ranting. Irene then smashes the mirror. Again, Maddie declares she loves pizza to irritate the ghost because she hates pizza because her husband had a pizza parlor, or had, they're all dead. The ghost then kidnaps Maddie for annoying her. The ghost takes Cody's blanket, but Cody runs after it and then magically disappears. London keeps asking about her money, then Irene sends her away for annoying her. Zack is then left all alone with the ghost, then tries to flee the room, only to find out it was all a prank pulled by everyone else in the room to get back for all the pranks he's been pulling. I find it very unbelievable that Arwen, who almost set the building on fire earlier in the episode, was capable of doing all this stuff, and they just said, oh, it's all just special effect by Arwen. I would have believed Cody could do it, but Arwen, no. At the end of the episode, Zack and Cody go back to room 613 because Cody left his blanket. They end up seeing the real ghost of Irene, who returns Cody's blanket. She was weirdly nice. I would have been slightly annoyed for all the defamation about how cruel I am. The second episode, which is on Sweet Life of Deck, called The Ghost and Mr. Martin. There are 2 plots this episode. The A story starts with Cody and his roommate Woody, eager to get off the boat and explore New Orleans. So they invite Zack to join them. Unfortunately, Zack has failed history assignment and has to redo it, so they leave him behind. Very happily, I might add. Zack will not be missed. Zack overhears Mr. Moseby telling some guests the story of the wreck of the Jessie Belle. Mr. Moseby says it's a ship that sunk 150 years ago due to Captain Antonil, who was rumoured to have read the compass wrong because he was in such a rush to get home to propose to Jessie Bell, his human girlfriend, not the boat. He wasn't. Then there's the B story. London and her roommate Bailey are walking back to their own room when they pass by Mosby's room and hear him playing a tiny piano. Mosby talks about the traumatizing childhood event and his pants split and showed his underwear to everyone when he was a child, causing him to pass out on stage, shattering his knee. So this whole event not only destroyed his career as a pianist, but also his ballet career. So now every time Mr. Mosby plays in front of a crowd, he passes out. This man had such a traumatizing childhood. Damn. Did you ever get love as a kid? Back to Zack. He is still failing to write a good paper on his app when suddenly the word Jessie Bell keeps appearing on his screen over and over again. Then the lights in the blender next to him start going on and on. Zack believes it's the ghost of the captain that Mosby mentioned earlier. London and Bailey try to help Mr. Mosby start performing again by tricking him into thinking he's playing alone on a big boy piano this time. The girls have hidden some of the crew members behind a curtain, but as soon as they reveal the people, Mr. Mosby passes out with a loud thud. Cody and Woody come back from their trip, find him frantic about a pile of dirty socks that has apparently moved from left to right. He believes this has to be the ghost, and to try and convince his brother and his roommate, Zack barricades them into his room to stop them from leaving so that they can see the ghost. This is kidnapping, but we will move on. Zack reminds Cody of the ghost that they saw at the Tipton Hotel, a throwback to the ghost week 613. Cody said they had just imagined it and continues to make Zack feel like he's crazy, so Zack sets up cameras to watch the boys throughout the night. Some weird stuff happens that finally convinces Cody and Woody that there is a ghost on board, and they agree to help Zack track it down, the ghost that they believe to be Captain Antonil of the sunken ship. The next day of the Historical Society's costume party, Bailey and London lie to Mr. Mosby and say that they have booked a world-famous pianist called Bayou Bob. Lying to him worked so well the last time. At the very last minute, Bayou Bob calls to cancel, and due to London's questionable acting skills, Mosby finds out Bayou Bob is not coming. Who would have guessed? Zack and Cody and Woody walking around dressed up as the Ghostbusters if they had to file for bankruptcy. Zack looks for the ghost of Captain Antonil, only to find him standing next to his own cardboard cutout. They have to communicate using charades. This kind of reminds me of that bit in Beetlejuice when they have to guess his name. Found it funny. Zack figures out that he's miming the word compass. Zack tries to show Cody and Woody the ghost, but only Zack can see him. Then Woody gets scared and tries to suck up the ghost. Zack then screams, "Stop, you're scaring him," as the ghost slowly walks away. The ghost hunting morons look at all the documented artifacts from the Jessie Bell, but there is no compass. Zack thinks it must still be on board. Zack then scuba dives for it. Is it legal for a 17-year-old to do that by themselves, no adult accompanying them? Meanwhile, London tries one more time and disguises herself as Bayou Bob and starts performing on the piano. She does horribly and it sounds like a cat being murdered. This forces Mosby to play at the piano when, yay, good for him. Apparently there's a ghost on board your boat, so I feel like you have other problems, but at least you can play the piano now. Just as Mr. Mosby's starting to warm up, Mr. Mosby is interrupted by the ghost hunt in Ed, Ed and Eddie. They claim that the entire known history of the Jessie Bell is false and they can prove Captain Antonil's innocence. Zack reveals what actually caused the Jessie Bell to sink. Apparently, Captain Antonil's first mate, Corey Scully, wedged his iron medallion in the back of the compass, causing a misreading and killing off the entire crew. Corey was the only survivor. He then proposed to Jessie Bell after killing her boyfriend, but she refused and died an old maid. Zack is then praised for discovering the true secret of the ship, and everyone just believes his word. No form of fact checking. I mean, this boy is barely passing history, and they're all taking him at his word. Zack then watches the ghost of Captain Antonil and Jessie Bell walk off. It is never explained why Zack is the only one that can see them. So Zack went scuba diving, had to search an entire ship, got back, got changed, and had time to make this announcement. How long was this party? Now that I've watched both episodes, I can conclude the second one was better. They had an extra 5 years. I do remember it being terrifying when I was like 5. Watching it as an adult might have been a tad bit dramatic, but if we're basing it on what is a more scary episode, it would be the first one because there was kidnapping. I mean, it wasn't the ghost, but details. But if we put the ghost into a boxing ring, I feel like Irene would win. Captain Antonil could only turn stuff on and off. Irene could pick stuff up. She can throw things. I never know how to end videos, so I'm going to end it with a ghost boxing ring, but Danny Phantom would clear them both.